And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata. And as promised, I am giving you a preview of what's already been a very exciting Rugby World Cup, Women's Rugby World Cup for the 2025 edition is now into the quarterfinal rounds. We have seen all the pool play matches, or most of the pool play matches, I'll admit to that. But we've seen all the pool play matches, and we now have our final eight. A couple of surprises. If you remember my predictions from the very start, there have been a couple of surprises, especially one really big one. We'll talk about that when we preview each of the matches, but we will go into detail on a preview of these four exciting matches that are happening this weekend. And again, guys, you can watch in the United States every Rugby World Cup match. Some of them are going to be early if you're on the West Coast like I am, but you can watch every match and you can watch all the previous pool matches all for a very small price on Paramount Plus. You can watch them live or on demand. And guys, they're still doing this deal where for the first 2 months you can get 99 cents a month. So literally, you can watch every Women's Rugby World Cup match for the 2025 edition for just 99 cents, and then you can cancel and you don't have to pay the rest. But again, why would you not want to continue with Paramount Plus? You can watch all the upcoming men's rugby action and the women's rugby action. HSBC 7 for what I understand is going to be on there. And then again, they have so much other great content, some great shows, sports. There's a lot of football, American football matches on there. And hey, if you're a big UFC fan, next year in 2026, all the UFC events will be on Paramount Plus. So a great deal. Again, if I'm in the United States and I'm a big rugby fan, I would definitely jump on Paramount Plus, and I already have. So why don't you? Outside of the States, I believe Rugby Pass has everything for your Rugby World Cup need. Now, let's get into the matches. So we have, like I said, 8 teams, 4 matches in our quarterfinals. Both of them occurring on the weekends, 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Saturday, September 13th, we'll have at 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time kickoff. Number 3, New Zealand, taking on number 10, South Africa. First of all, congratulations, South Africa. First time that they've made it to the semifinals of a Rugby World Cup. We'll go a little bit more into detail on the way that they got there. And then later on at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, right after that match, number 2 Canada takes on number 7 Australia. Sunday, we'll have the rest of the matches, 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Number 4 France taking on number 5 Ireland, which should be a fun match. And then the last one, number 1 England, the reigning defending Rugby World Cup champions. I'm sorry. They want to be the reigning defending Rugby World Cup champions, taking on number 6 Scotland. Another fun match for that one. Again, it's interesting how this kind of worked out, where we have the number 1, number 7 women's teams, and then we have number 10 South Africa. But the best of the best making their way to the Rugby World Cup. Unfortunately, of course, United States did not make it. But like I told you guys, I will do an in-depth preview of all these matches, despite the fact that USA did not make it on to the knockout stage. Now, let's go on to the reigning, defending Women's Rugby World Cup champions. Number 3, New Zealand, taking on the underdogs, the number 10 South Africa. Again, originally was predicting that Italy would be the team that would come out of that Pool D division, but South Africa playing like crazy, the Springbok women, defeating Italy. And then if you watch their match with the top team from the Pool D, France, you know, South Africa plays just like most Springbok style, very fast, up pace, not afraid to mix it up with the big girls, but never say die attitude as well. The one player that I really want to focus on with South Africa at this point is Nadine Roos. If you're a big Sevens fan like I am, you know Nadine Roos. She is the captain of the Sevens Springbok women's team. And she is just phenomenal. A case in point in the game against France. France pretty much dominated that game the entire time, but there was no give up in Nadine Roos. She even made a solo effort to score a try, which originally was reviewed, possibly might have been canceled, but they ended up giving it to her. The crowd erupted, the smile on the Dean's face. I mean, she fought for that try, and even the announcers were like, just give her the try. South Africa is definitely a fun team to root for, but of course, they have their work cut out for them because they are going against, like I mentioned before, the reigning defending World Cup champions, the Black Ferns, New Zealand, who, interestingly enough, there was some criticism, not by me, but some criticism that New Zealand didn't necessarily look like the New Zealand of the previous Rugby World Cup. But I think with their match against Ireland, that kind of, they shut a lot of people up with that one. A dominant performance if you saw that match. But a player, of course, you mentioned the usual players, Portia Woodman-Whitcliffe and Georgia Miller and Kelly Brazier in this team. But a player that you should really pay attention to, and she has just made herself a worldwide phenom, and that is the young Braxton Sorensen McGee. Oh, young. I believe 19 years old. I believe this is only her sixth match as an international player. And yet in those 6 matches, pull it up right now, in those 6 matches, she has scored 8 tries. Yes, I'm sorry. She's had 5 test matches so far. 3 in the Rugby World Cup, 2 beforehand. In those 5 matches, 8 tries. And she loves to score tries in bunches. She had a hat trick against Japan, and then she had a hat trick against Ireland. She is just a fast, speedy player, dynamic, just a lot of talent, and she's only 19. So definitely, I believe the Black Ferns have found a future star for them, as she has made her breakout performance so far already in the Rugby World Cup. We've only made it to the semifinals. It's going to be amazing to see what she does in the semifinals and beyond. But watch out for Braxton Sorensen McGee. That is a name you're going to have to remember because she has made her mark here in this Rugby World Cup. Moving on to the next game at 8 a.m., as I mentioned before, number 2 Canada taking on number 6. Oh, should also mention this New Zealand versus South Africa match. Just, I'm not wanting to dash the hopes of South Africa, but it is an interesting stat. New Zealand and South Africa women have only played once, and that was back in the 2010 Rugby World Cup edition. New Zealand in pool play, New Zealand trounced South Africa 55-3. So again, it'll be interesting to see if South Africa can better that. Again, they're definitely the heavy underdogs in this matchup, but hey, anything could happen in rugby. Now let's move on to a interesting rivalry that's been developing between number 2 Canada and number 7 Australia. Recently, they've been playing a lot against each other because of the newly formed Pacific Four Nations series, and their rivalry continues here into the semifinals. Australia, with a very good performance against Samoa, I still believe it is the match of the pool play for this 2025 Rugby World Cup. Australia and USA, good Lord, going back and forth. USA down to Australia by half, but fought back to get a draw. But then because Australia just lost by 40 points, 47-7 to England, which surprised me. I thought that game would be a lot closer. Australia gets the nod to move up by point differentials, so Australia makes it into the bracket. Unfortunately, not for the United States, but Australia, very, very fun team to watch as well. I spoke about Sorensen McGee. Australia has 2 dynamic young players that are on the wings as well that you got to watch out for. Desiree Miller and Catherine Hulse. Desiree, a winger. Catherine usually plays fullback. Both of them love scoring tries in bunches. Desiree had a hat trick against Samoa, and then she scored 2 tries against the United States. And it seems like Miller and Halsey like to score together, because when Desiree scored that hat trick against Samoa, Catherine scored a brace against Samoa. And then against the United States, both players scored 2 tries. They are the dynamic weapons for this Australian team, and they have been just fun and explosive to watch in the Rugby World Cup. But Australia does have their work cut out for them going against a team that a lot of people are starting to say may actually be the heavy favorite to make it to the finals. Number 2, Canada. They have yet to make it to a final appearance I'm sorry. The last time that Canada has made it to the finals was in 2014, the only time that they've made it to the finals. And so obviously Canada would love to get back there, but before they do that, they have to get past Australia. Of course, with Canada, you always have to mention Sophie de Goody, one of the most just talented women on the planet when it comes to rugby. She's the captain of Canada. She's been very, very good in this tournament. But the players that really have stuck out right now so far, Julia Schell, 6 tries. She's one of, I believe, 7 women with 6 tries. There's been tries galore in this tournament, folks, and Julia Schell is one of them. Very impressive with 6 tries. I also want to give a shout out to Emily Tutosi, a prop that just loves to run people over and score tries. She has 3 tries under her belt as well. But Canada looking very, very strong so far. And like I said, surprisingly, when you have England and you have New Zealand, Canada, a lot of people are putting their money to be the heavy favorite to be one of the 2 teams in the finals. As I mentioned before, though, Canada and Australia have grown quite a bit of a rivalry. They played each other 7 times, 4 times in the recent 3 years. Unfortunately for Australia, Australia has yet to defeat Canada in any of those matchups. The last time that they played, of course, was earlier this year in the Pacific Four Nations tournament. Canada beat Australia 45-7. I mentioned Julia Schell before. In that game, Julia Schell had 15 points by herself, 5 for 7 off of the tee, and then she scored a try as well. So again, Canada, Australia, that will be a fun matchup. I was hoping that maybe Australia might have an answer for Canada with Miller and Hulse, but Miller and Hulse have played Canada quite a few times as well, and Canada seems to have the formula to stop those two dynamic young players. But we'll see if that repeats itself here in the semifinals. Then we're moving on to day 2, Sunday. France, number 4, taking on number 5, Ireland. Let's talk about Ireland. Now, first of all, if you are an Irish fan, you should be happy. Sigh of relief. The head coach of Ireland, Scott Berman, just announced that it seems that all of his players are good to go for this matchup. Didn't necessarily name names, but the one name that everyone was really hoping to hear good news was of course Stacey Flood. She is the talisman for the Irish team, and unfortunately in the matchup against New Zealand, she twisted her ankle. It looked really bad. They had to put a boot on her and take her off the field, but according to Scott Berman, she's good to go accordingly. But again, Coach Berman didn't necessarily name names. He just said that the whole team is good to go with this matchup against France. So hopefully that includes Stacey Flood. Hopefully it also includes Aoife Wafer, who, interestingly enough, was not capable of suiting up for any of the pool plays. She has yet to play a match. But again, there's talk that she should be able to come back at least for her first appearance here in the Rugby World Cup in the semifinal. And it'd be great to have Aoife Wafer back, because the last time that France and Ireland played against each other in the Six Nations tournament, France beat Ireland 27-15. But those points by Ireland were both scored. Those 2 tries were scored by Aoife Wafer, so they definitely need that firepower. Now, going to France. France looking very, very good in Pool D. Argument, of course, was Pool D was a little bit of an easy pool for them. Italy, South Africa, and Brazil. Though the South Africa game was really fun to watch. Of course, usual suspects for France to point out. Team captain Pauline Borden-Sansus, she's phenomenal. Interestingly enough, Morgan Bourgeois, who I thought would be doing more of the kicking duties, is actually splitting time with Lena Kuiwai, who is also very, very talented. No disrespect to both of them, but both of them are kicking off the tee. And then a person I forgot to mention in my preview of the Rugby World Cup, another phenomenal sevens player, Joanna Grises. If you've seen sevens rugby and you know the French team, you know her. She's usually scoring tries by the bunches. She has 3 tries in this Rugby World Cup. And again, another exciting player to watch. As mentioned before, France and Ireland did face off against each other in the Six Nations earlier this year. France walked away with the win, 27-15. Kind of a lopsided rivalry in this rivalry between France and Ireland. France has won 29 times against Ireland's 3 times, and both teams have drawn just once. So this is the 34th time that these two teams will play against each other. Again, France has won 29 of them. Not to say that these two teams, there couldn't be some sort of upset victory. The last time that Ireland has beaten France was actually in the Rugby World Cup in 2017. It was by 13-10. So there's a possibility. There is a possibility that Ireland can pull off the upset. And then our last game, host team England, number 1 in the world, taking on number 6 Scotland. Scotland, again, they fought very, very hard to get themselves out of Pool B, taking down Wales, taking down Fiji. Players to watch out for Scotland. Helen Nelson, team captain, phenomenal player. Great eye for the pitch as well as loves to score tries. And then Emma Orr, one of their young upcoming players, 21 years old, well known in the Scotland under-18 women's team, has now made her World Cup debut. Phenomenal player as well. But, of course, England has a lot of stars to talk about. Of course, we have to talk about Ellie Kildune, 2024's World Rugby Women's Player of the Year. She's been phenomenal. But a player that's also, a couple players that has really stuck out for the Red Roses, Jess Breach. One of, again, the 7 or 6 women that have scored 6 tries in this tournament. And then 2 phenomenal kickers off the tee. Helena Rowland and Zoe Harrison, both of them are sharing kicking duties, and they both have the top kick conversions in this whole tournament. Zoe Harrison has 12, while Helena Rowland has 11. So you know that if any team that faces England decides to become a little too penalty happy, England will make you pay for it. Like the France-Ireland rivalry, England and Scotland, very lopsided as well. This is going to be the 35th time that these two teams have played against each other. Out of those previous 34 times, England has won 32 of them. Scotland has only won 2 of them. The last time Scotland has beaten England was in 1999, nearly 25 years ago, by the score of 15-13. And the last Six Nations tournament, England and Scotland faced off against each other. England, a resounding victory of 59-7. So those are your semifinals, and I will do some quarterfinals. I will do some predictions on where to go. I do have to say, unfortunately, I will not be doing any video for the semifinals or the finals because I will be out of the country, taking some much-needed vacation time in Japan with almost little to no rugby involved in that one. It's purely a fun pleasure trip. But I will be doing my predictions for this tournament as I did before. So obviously, gotta go with some of the heavy favorites. As much as I love South Africa being the underdog, New Zealand will probably walk away with that one. Canada and Australia. Canada, again, it has been looking very, very good and dominant. France and Ireland, I think, might be a very interesting game, but, I feel Ireland, even though Coach Berman says that the girls are ready to go, they've been pretty beat up in this tournament, and I just think France will take advantage of that and probably be able to walk away with the win. And then England, Scotland, I just think England is just too much for Scotland to handle. So that means we have in the semifinals, potential semifinals, New Zealand taking on Canada, France taking on England. Now, again, very, very interesting. These 4 teams, no strangers to the semifinals in the Rugby World Cup. France has been a runner-up in 8 of the last 9 Rugby World Cups. So that means they've always made it to at least a 3rd place matchup. They've never made it to a finals, though. Will France be able to finally jump that hurdle and make their very first Rugby World Cup finals appearance? It's going to be tough because they have to take on England. And again, it's England's hometown. As much as it'd be great to see France pull off the upset, I think especially with the home pitch, though some people don't believe there is such a thing as a home pitch advantage, I think especially the way you've been hearing the crowd, and it's been sellout crowds this whole entire Rugby World Cup, I think it will be phenomenal noise for the English fans, and I think that will boost the Red Roses to go even further and make their way back to the finals. On the other end of that, New Zealand and Canada. Again, this one's a tough one because I kind of agree. Canada has been looking really, really good. But I kind of disagree with some people that don't think the Black Ferns have been looking all that great. Now, granted, the Black Ferns do have an exciting new weapon, as mentioned before, with Braxton Sorensen McGee. But as mentioned before, too, Canada seems to know how to handle speedy, fast players on the edges. They do know how to handle players like Desiree Miller and Cassie Holsey. But, Black Ferns may be able to use Braxton a little bit different. This one's a tough one. Originally, I had it as New Zealand and England will face off against each other in the finals. But, you know what? I'm going to go different. I do think Canada will pull it off. I think Canada will beat New Zealand and make their way, first time since 2014 that they make themselves into the finals. So the rematch that, everybody was kind of looking forward to, New Zealand and England, or at least most people were looking forward to, I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be Canada and England for the World Cup. New Zealand and France, unfortunately, will be fighting over third. That means, again, France will be the bridesmaid, not the bride. Canada and England. Now that's an interesting one, and very apropos. If the rankings stay the same, it'll be the number 1 versus number 2 team. Again, I know that a lot of people are rooting for Canada, but I do believe the pitch advantage, the home crowd, all that noise in Twickenham, I think it's going to be just overwhelming for Canada, and I think it just bodes well for England. Plus, again, lots of history with the 2021 World Cup that, was such heartbreak for England, for the Red Roses. I don't think they want that to happen again. Now, obviously, revenge would have been sweeter to take down New Zealand in the finals, but hey, taking down Canada in the finals and a win is a win would be great as well. So that's my final prediction. In the end, England beating Canada to become the 2025 Women's Rugby World Cup winners. Will it happen? Gotta watch Paramount Plus to find out. Again, wish I could do some more videos for the Rugby World Cup, but unfortunately, like I said, I will be off on vacation in Japan. I do appreciate all the great comments and support that you guys have done for my prior videos, especially my big preview of the Women's World Cup. Let me know, what do you think of my predictions here? I wasn't 100% with a couple of the teams. Obviously, Australia and South Africa made it instead of USA and Italy. But what do you think about my prediction? England, Canada in the final. Do you think Canada will take down New Zealand? Do you think maybe there might be an upset in the quarterfinals? South Africa pulling off the biggest upset. Will Ireland maybe beat France? Will Australia make their way past Canada? Will England not make it through? Let me know in the comments what your predictions are. And as always, thank you very much for checking out my videos. I do hope that you enjoy the rest of the Rugby World Cup. And even though I won't see you by the end of the tournament, I will eventually see you on the pitch.